Hey, what's going on, guys? Bringing you guys the AFC South draft grades. I'm going to start off with the Colts. They drafted, first overall, so that's what I'm going to do. They went with Andrew Luck. Everybody knows that was going to be the guy for them. So he's going to be their franchise quarterback, and we're going to see where they take it from there. They added Coby Fleener in the second round. That was his teammate at Stanford at tight end. I thought that was a really interesting move. Dwayne Allen was possibly the second-rated tight end behind Coby Fleener. They selected him in the third round of the first pick as well. That's interesting. I mean, a tight end is a quarterback's best friend, especially a young quarterback. So they give him two, including one being his teammate from college. I thought that was a great move on the Colts' part. They're rebuilding that offense because that offense is completely gone from what it was a year, 2, and 3 seasons ago. So in the third round, they also added T.Y. Hilton, a wide receiver. That's another additional weapon for Andrew Luck. Josh Chapman in the 5th round was a defensive tackle. Vic Ballard, another running back for them. Another wide receiver in Levon Brazil in the 6th round. Then they went offensive tackle, defensive end, and another quarterback in the 7th round. Overall, I thought it was a pretty solid draft for them. They found their franchise quarterback. They gave him weapons. I know they didn't build too much on the defense, but I'm going to give them a B+. Hitting on the Titans, Kendall Wright was their first selection in the first round at wide receiver. I didn't think they were going to go wide receiver. I thought they would go cornerback or maybe a pass rusher. I was a little bit surprised they went with Kendall Wright. I did not favor that pick too much. They went Zach Brown, outside linebacker, in the 2nd round. I favored that pick over the Kendall Wright pick. Mike Martin, the defensive tackle, in the 3rd round. They need more defensive help, especially in that front 7. Actually, cornerback as well, but cornerback not as much. I actually did break it down a little bit, looked at their depth, looked at who they had, and cornerback not as much, even though they did lose Cortland Finnegan. But anyway, 4th round, that's when they decided to go cornerback with Cody Sanzenbaugh. Taylor Thompson, the tight end, in the 5th round. Markel Martin, the safety, in the 6th, and Scott Solomon, defensive end, in the 7th. Overall, I thought it was an okay draft. I'd probably give them a B-. Texans, Whitney Merciless. I interviewed Whitney Merciless, had the time to Skype with him. He's a cool guy. 1st round selection by the Texans. They needed a pass rusher after the departure of Mario Williams and some of the linebackers that they lost, so they needed to add depth there. They added Merciless in the 1st round. 3rd round pick, they went with Davier Posey, I believe is how you say his name, at wide receiver. They needed more wide receiver depth, so I like that pick as well. Brandon Brooks, the offensive guard. They did lose a couple offensive linemen in this offseason, so they added to the line. Ben Jones at center as well. Keyshawn Martin, the wide receiver. That's more wide receiver depth because their depth is lacking at the wide receiver position, opposite side of Andre Johnson. Jared Crick, the defensive tackle, I thought was a very solid pick. I believe he fell. I thought he could have went, 2nd, 3rd round. He went late 4th. That was a great pick on the Texans' part. Then they went Randy Bullock at kicker and Nick Mondek, the offensive tackle. Overall, I thought this was a pretty solid draft for the Texans. I'd have to give them a B+. Jaguars went with Justin Blackmon, wide receiver. In the 1st round, they need wide receiver depth. That was a phenomenal pick on their part. Andre Branch, defensive end, another phenomenal pick on their part. I thought this was a great pick because they did need a pass rusher. Brian Anger, the punter, in the 3rd round. Everybody's calling question to this pick. But if they need a punter, they need a punter. I'm not going to knock them too hard for it. Brandon Marshall, the outside linebacker, in the 5th. Mike Harris, cornerback, in the 6th. Jarris Pendleton, the defensive tackle, in the 7th. Overall, I thought this was a pretty good draft for the Jaguars. Besides the question at punter, it was whatever. Overall, I mean, the first 2 picks, I believe, made this draft for them, but I'd give them a B- to a B. I liked the first 2 picks. After that, it was all right. So, overall, I'd give them B- to a B. That's the AFC South for you guys. Should be bringing you guys the AFC West here shortly. I'm out.